Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of CMPAC Spotlight, where we put in the spotlight some of the awesome producers that we have here at Public Access. And right now in the studio, I have none other than Mr. Theautry Green, also known as the Chocolate Drop of The Chocolate Box Presents.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here too, again. And I just mentioned one of your shows.
Okay.
You have several.
Well,
right?
not only one now, but I've done several over the past. You want me to list them?
Yes, talk about it, because you and I go back, but there was a time I was not here in Charlotte, and you were still doing your thing here. So give us a list.
Well, I started in '89 in Chicago with the Black Agenda. And when I moved here, I continued with the Black Agenda, and then I got involved with BMA, which is for Black Media Association. That was a live 1-hour program that people could actually call in and interact with the host on the program. So I did that. And then we did a new agenda. We went from the Black Agenda to a new agenda. We did the Wedding Showcase. We did Check This Out, which I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. We did Messaging and Music. That's a Wedding Showcase. My favorite realtors. I'm a real estate broker. And now we have the Chocolate Box.
The Chocolate Box.
And there's some that I've forgotten, but.
Well, you know, Theautry, as we talked about, I have known you since Public Access was called cable, not Cablevision. I think it was Time Warner.
Yeah, Time Warner. Time Warner Cablevision, right?
Right, but I think it was another name before that, right? Were you here when it started, Cablevision of Charlotte?
Well, yes. Oh, right. It was Cablevision of Charlotte, I think, and then Time Warner.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
And I came in when it was Time Warner.
I see.
Cable, and so I did not know that you started the Black Agenda in Chicago.
Oh, yes.
I knew, of course, you did it here.
Right. Yeah. We were also in Atlanta, so we were in Chicago, Atlanta, and Charlotte.
Very good. So bring us up to date now and talk about why you started the Chocolate Box. What was the appeal for that?
Well, the idea of the word chocolate, well, let me back up for how I opened the program. On the program, I talk about the phrase in the Forrest Gump movie, life is like Mom always says, life is like a box of chocolate, you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
So this whole idea of a chocolate, a box, the word box kind of denotes, a soapbox, something where people, if you got something to say, then you get on your soapbox, Right. If a plane goes down or something, they want to find where the information is. And where's the information? It's in the black box.
Okay, yes, that's right.
And why don't they just make the whole plane out of that? If the box is safe, then just make the whole plane out of that so everybody can be safe.
Right.
And there are a couple other examples of the box, but of course, chocolate, I want to put a little flavor in it to give people of color an opportunity to kind of come on and talk about those things that impact us that may not get the exposure that it should get in quote unquote mainstream media.
Exactly.
Hence the Chocolate Box.
The Chocolate Box. So let's talk about some of those issues and some of those things that don't get some attention. What do you cover? What are some of the stories that you've presented?
Oh, well, that's low-hanging fruit right there.
Okay.
Particularly as we're taping this 2021. So, and I keep trying to leave and, not do it anymore, but I'm coming back to the studio again because of things that are happening that warrant our attention. For example, we just had the 1619 project. Yes. And lo and behold, I didn't do anything on the in 2019 to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the 1619 project. The New York Times did a series with Nicole Hannah-Jones, and we should have done something to supplement or complement the significance of 1619 and what it means. Of course, the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, Rashad Brooks. We can go on and go on with police brutality. Right. Black Lives Matter. I can keep going on and go on. So that's something that, we need to put a local flavor on these national stories. Right,
right. Well, for the audience, for those who don't know what 1619 Project is, tell us a little bit about that and how you're going to incorporate that in your show.
Well, the 1619 Project commemorates the first Africans that were brought to this country, and there's some discrepancy about this, but I think it was Jamestown, and they were either slaves or indentured servants. Again, there's some on that. That's why you should check out the New York Times, Nicole Hannah-Jones piece. I'm still kind of doing my research on it, even though it's been 2 years ago. But there's a lot of stuff on the internet, and it just gives you more backstory on when slavery started in these United States. Right. And it gets into reparation, which talks about Reconstruction, the Emancipation Proclamation, going through Jim Crow, going through the Civil Rights, and all the way up to reparation, and then some.
Absolutely.
Even with police and how police squads that morphs into policing today,
Right.
which we got issues with.
Absolutely, and a lot of that is going to come out, and it's going to come out in several different ways. You said, 2 years ago was when the commemoration was, but the timing of it, I believe, is going to be very significant, the timing of the discussions, because we're still in a pandemic. We're coming out, but we've been in this pandemic, and everyone's attention has been to different things.
Absolutely.
So I think it's going to be good to hear what you have to say and other people have to say. The New York Times, the articles, the several things that are going to come about revolving around the 1619 Project and the other things that you mentioned. So this is good. This is really good.
Well, there needs to be more programs, just not the chocolate box, but other programs to kind of just talk about those things that may make some people feel uncomfortable, but we have to talk about it. And that's racism, white supremacy.
And we have to talk about them. Yes, you're right. And what I love is that I have seen a lot of different ethnicities standing up and coming together. And if you go back even in the civil rights times, there were Caucasian people who were standing up. I know there was a woman, I'm looking at a documentary now about...
What's the name of the documentary?
The name of the it's about a woman named Holland. Oh, I got to get her first name. But she was a civil rights activist, still alive, Caucasian lady who was just not having it. She wasn't having it. And there's another gentleman named James Zwerg, not having it. And Native American, Jewish, African American, of course.
We need more people like that.
Exactly.
That's what we need.
And I think now it's going to be interesting to see what's happening now. So I'm looking forward to what you have.
Better watch out now. You may end up being a guest.
Hey, I love it. I love it. And of course, with you being a guest, we could just go on and on because, of course, we have this cross-pollination, this history about the different things. And then when you talk about public access and what it takes to do your show, tell everybody about that. Let's talk about that.
Y'all don't know. Okay. So to do a program of public access, first of all, the fact that the facility even exists, one of the requirements, as I understand, is that you have to be a resident of Mecklenburg County. Charlotte-Mecklenburg County. And at one point when I first started, it was free. That was all you had to do. Now I think there may be a nominal fee to go through the different workshops. But it gives you an opportunity it gives you a voice. It gives you a box where you can stand on and address those things that you feel are important that the world needs to know. Who knows where that next Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, who knows where that person is. But if they were to do their own program, they just may end up, becoming national. For example, people like, well, we ain't gonna get into that yet. So what was the question again?
I was asking you about what goes into your show because, and you did mention about, being a part of Charlotte-Mecklenburg. There are many people who can come from all over and be a part. There's just some different stipulations based on where you live.
Oh, so you can be in a different county, but you just have to pay a fee.
You have to pay a different fee. And people can come to orientation and find out all those details.
And that's free.
But for you, yes, orientation is free.
Right.
It is. And for you, when you started and then still now, you talk about the whole process, the things you have. There's pre-production. There's production. There's post-production sometimes.
Right.
So you a lot of times have all day booked. Tell us about that.
All right. So to go back to your original question, just the whole idea of having an idea. How do you get this idea from your head to where someone can be at home, pick up a remote, boom, and they see this discussion.
Right.
What happens behind the scenes? Well, first of all, you got to get an idea. Since this is volunteer, you got to call volunteers. You got to find people. Some people may be available, they may not. They may say they're going to show up and they don't show. Sometimes crew may be there waiting for them and the guest doesn't show. Hint, hint, hint. But all of that takes time coordinating, not property managed, but a managerial component to make it happen, to produce it.
Right.
The green room, you want to provide some nourishments for your crew as well as guests. You got to have some questions. You got to have a subject. You got to have something that's interesting. You got to hope that the people who are going to be operating equipment are proficient with how that equipment works. Because if you have something that doesn't quite go the way you want it to go, you got to deal with post-editing. That's editing after the production is done.
Right.
So the graphics. The music may not come in when it's supposed to do. You want the music to fade up, to fade out. You want the lower thirds, the graphics to pop in when it's supposed to.
Right.
You want to make sure the person who's talking is looking into the camera. You want to make sure that there's a couple cutaway shots. All these things that as a director, you're trying to factor that in while you got to give your attention to the guests.
Right, and you mentioned director. You host the show, but sometimes you direct. You let someone guest hosts sometimes.
Well,
I've noticed that.
Yeah, I kind of stumble in that because sometimes if a director doesn't show, and since I do have those skills, I've got to kind of fall back and direct and hope that I can find someone who's comfortable enough with getting in front of the camera to host because I may have had a guest to come, and if there's no host because I was going to host, but now I can't host because my director didn't show, I've got to fall back, direct, and draft someone at the spur of the moment to sit in the big chair.
So what you're trying to say is have a lot of skills, be multi-talented and multifaceted.
That helps.
In order to do this show.
Yes, and knowledgeable. You got to have a kind of a wide, I'm a curious guy. I watch Jeopardy.
Right, well that's understated. I know everybody, when they watch the show, they will see that you're very knowledgeable. And you bring on very knowledgeable guests.
Yeah, well, I try to make all my programs interesting so that the crew, if the crew are kind of captivated, then I know the subject matter. And you can tell if the crew is captivated because sometimes if the director's not taking the right shot, the director's probably into the conversation.
Into the conversation, right. So it takes kind of like, you pulling back. You may have to look at it later if you're directing or hosting or what have you. And we have a good crew here now behind the scenes. And that's what it's all about with public access. I know whenever we worked together, it was like family. To me, it was like we were a team. And I was also working for a news station at the time. And so that was like a team as well, the production team. And so that is probably the best thing I would think in working in television is when you can have a good team.
Yeah, and if I can just piggyback off this real brief, that's what I want to do to come back. Again, I've retired, quote unquote, probably about 5 or 6 times from not doing any more programs.
You like Michael Jordan?
Yeah. But if I can, and that's what I'm hoping to formulate a crew, a team, that for these next series of programs that we're going to do, that's going to be my ideal team.
Very good. Well, I'm very proud of you, and I'm just excited to see all the things that you have done and are doing.
Thank you.
And, I want to know about, you kind of alluded to it earlier, about who was on your show, and you've had celebrities on your show. And so let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, some of them actually, I don't know who has actually come into the studio, but, people who affiliate with the show, again, Nick Cannon, but when we had them, the Nick Cannon and the whole Check This Out was the name of the program. We're talking like in the 90s. And what they were able to do, they were able to garner interviews with people like Grover Washington, Nancy Wilson, Ratcliffe Bailey, an artist out of New York, out of Atlanta. And let me see, who else did they? I think they did something with Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, which was interesting because he being Nick, interviewed Gladys Knight, and then lo and behold, on The Masked Singer, he got a chance to interview her again because when she was one of the Masked Singers. So that was it kind of came full circle from someone who started in public access and was this little kid and now actually hosting a national television and interviewing people that he interviewed 15, 20, 30 years ago, 25 years ago.
Exactly, full circle. And there's some local celebrities here that I know you've had on your show. So tell us about that.
I'm trying to think who, you've
had the sheriff and,
you had Gary McFadden, we interviewed Harvey Gantt, all of the last mayors for the most part. Let's see, Mayor Vinroot, Stu Myrick, Harvey Gantt. Didn't do Fox and didn't do Cannon. But the sheriff's department, we've had attorneys, we've had pastors. I try to get people who are involved in the community to come on so that you can kind of get more than just what you get on the news clip about them. You can talk to them for at least 25 minutes and give them an opportunity to see their personality.
Exactly. Well, now, with all that said, you are a local celebrity yourself, I'm sure.
If you were wrong, I would disagree with you.
See?
No.
You had some autographs. I know people have asked you for your autograph.
No. This is still, it keeps us humble. This is still public access.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But
they don't know me. Yeah.
I bet you they do. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is you're getting good information out there and good content out there. And that's always great.
Yes.
Public access or not. Right?
Well, they want to know me. I love for them to know me as a realtor, so that helps.
Okay.
That helps me to continue to do the program too, by the way.
Well, in terms of you being able to be out there in the community and getting to meet people for different reasons, tell me about some of the things that were happening back in the 90s that you still see we need to deal with today.
Oh, number one, police brutality.
Okay.
We can go to the Rodney King footage. We can go to... there was a sister here that was in the 90s that was, I forget her name, but she was killed by the police. There, you got Jonathan Farrell. You got
that's right.
Scott that was shot here. So, Charlotte's not unique. You know, pick a city, any city. You want Ferguson, Missouri. You
Right.
want New York. You want
Right.
Atlanta. You want L.A. You know, pick a city. You know, so police brutality is one of the things that's prevalent today.
Yeah.
You know, we could talk about COVID and
Absolutely.
talk about the economic divide.
Right.
You know, 2021, which is this year. Matter of fact, as we're taping this program, it's today's date is May the 20th. I know it's
May
in
the
time.
18th. That's
May
okay.
the 18th.
That's all right.
But in less than a week, well, let's say in 2 weeks, it's going to mark the 100th anniversary of. I can put you on the spot. I don't have to. I want to. You know what happened over 100 years ago? In about two weeks.
Come on, tell us.
Tulsa,
Tulsa,
Oklahoma.
yes,
marks the
that's
100th
right.
anniversary. Yeah.
That's exactly
It happened
right.
May the last day of May and the first day of June.
Exactly, and what we're talking about for the audience's sake is the burning of Tulsa,
Yes.
Oklahoma,
Yes.
the African American community that was thriving and very
They call it Black Wall Street.
prosperous, Black Wall Street, and because of just the
Because black folk were doing
outrage,
it. Economic improvement and development. But again, that's something that should be this, you know, all major media need to be talking about, commemorating Tulsa, Oklahoma. What happened to those people whose whose insurance policies were not paid, you know?
Yeah.
What happened to the land, you know? The thing about real estate, I keep going back to real estate, is that that parcel of dirt where those businesses sat on
Right.
had a parcel number, a PID, a parcel identification number.
Right.
Somebody owned that, had paid for it, and as a result of the bombing of Black Wall Street, the massacre, the Tulsa massacre, you know, those properties like they just erased, you know.
yeah.
So they get no reparations and a whole bunch of other things.
Well, that's a very good point to bring up so many different things, and I think there are a lot of people who are getting on board with that.
Absolutely.
A lot of different ethnicities. I just keep seeing that and seeing that come up because the generations have grown to realize what happened.
Yeah, and some of them didn't even know what happened.
I know. Some didn't know what happened. That happened in Wilmington, too.
Absolutely.
You know, Wilmington,
Rosewood, the Wilmington burning, I think is the name of it.
Wilmington on Fire.
Thank you, Wilmington on Fire. Right.
That's okay. And so there's a lot of good material and media out there. And so it's good that you're bringing that to this platform.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, very
well,
good.
And again, it's so easy to kind of fall into the category and say, well, this is about black and white, it's about racism. You know, it's about justice. You know, it's about what's right.
Right.
You know, and so we can get into religion and all that stuff. Like, if everybody wanted to just make the world a better place, just do what's the
do
correct
what's right.
thing. Yeah, as Spike Lee said, just do the right thing.
Just do the right thing. Speaking of Spike Lee.
He's one of my favorite directors.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's so much out there, and there's so many more directors and writers who have come through the ranks.
Yes.
That they have such a great body of work to build on. And of course, you know, you yourself, you know, have that. You say it's only public access, but you have this body of work that can really be a foundation for a lot of different things.
I have some information.
Absolutely.
And that's another project that I'm working on. I'm trying to catalog and get all this information together to kind of like have a reboot or, I mean, you're talking about over 3 decades worth of footage here in Charlotte.
Absolutely.
Who else has got that? You know?
Yeah, you're exactly
I do.
right. You do. You do. Well, you are busy. And that's a good thing. Get it all cataloged, get it all organized. It's a part of the process, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you are ever evolving too, because I know that you have put a little bug in my ear about how you're venturing out into podcasting, kind of learning that a little bit more. What was the draw?
Well, because it's where technology is going, and I've been kicking and screaming, which I should have been doing it 4 or 5 years ago, and I just got to do it. You know, I've got to, I still can learn.
That's
always
right.
learning.
Absolutely.
And so I'm going to have to just learn to do it. And
Right.
I think I have something to say. And I think a lot of people will really be intrigued and interested with some of the stuff that I'm looking to bring to the podcast.
Absolutely. I like that you can go on the street, you can go on location and do your show. Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
We've done something. That's why you mentioned about celebrities come to the studio. Yeah,
Right.
there are people we kind of, gone to them. You know, I interviewed years ago, Najee, jazz saxophonist.
Yeah, the jazz saxophonist.
Alex Bugnon, before Alex Bugnon got to be big. The guy who wrote Mama used to say,
Were they from here?
Yeah, Junior. No, these are people who would come to Charlotte, and just, again, being on the street and having to hook up with people in radio and TV, say, look, so-and-so's in town, you want to get an interview.
Okay.
Vesta Williams, members of Tony, Jeffrey Osborne, I've been Boys to Men,
Wow.
Jodeci.
And you have that footage?
That's why I say I
still?
got some footage.
Wow. Yeah, we need to see that. I mean, I know, of course, we have hot button issues that are happening right now, like we've discussed, you know, from the 90s on and even further back than that.
Right.
But yes, we would love to like go back in the vault.
Yes.
Maybe that's one of those segments.
That title.
That's right. You can have it.
Thank you.
But just give me some bread. Give me food.
The bread. I need bread. Okay.
But seriously, I mean, you have some good topics and some good ideas and good guests. So we'd love to see that.
Yeah. All right. Well,
from back in the day.
Going to see if we can make that happen. You know,
there you go.
I got to get some editors, or either hone my editing skills.
That's what they're going to say. You do that too, though, don't you?
Yeah, but again, you can't do it all. No need to do it all. If you got somebody else, you can find an intern, somebody who has that same level of passion that I had when I was, much younger.
That's true.
That's who I'm looking for, a younger version of me, as Kevin Hart says on his Laugh Out Loud series program. He's looking for a younger version of him. So I'm looking for a younger version of me.
You're looking for a clone of you that's younger, who can come and do all these things.
That wants to learn. Yeah.
They're out there. You can make an appeal if you want to.
Come. Won't you come? Won't you come? Like in church, right?
Well, yes. Similar to that.
Okay.
But the thing is, you have done so much, Theautry. And when you talk about appealing to others to come and help you, what would you say for them in terms of doing their own show?
Do it. Yeah, we need it. Everybody who watches TV should wonder what's happening behind the scenes. Well, why won't somebody do something about this, or why won't somebody cover that?
Right.
You are that person. So get involved with public access, and the stories that you don't see, the topics that you don't hear about. Why don't you do them? And if you don't do them on public access, again, do them on a podcast or YouTube or Patreon or all these other social media avenues that you could tap into.
Absolutely. And you reminded me of Stacy Abrams. I just heard her talk about her mother taught her parents taught her that if you see something that you think needs to be changed, then you be the change.
Absolutely.
You get in there and be the solution, fix some things. And Stacy Abrams, of course, in Atlanta, doing all the work that she has done.
Yeah, game changer.
Absolutely, boots on the ground.
Yes.
And I think there are going to be more people, and so you are an influencer.
Okay,
so
I am.
yeah,
me?
and what
Little
on you. You're funny. And what you just did with appealing to the community to just come on in and do some things.
Yeah.
People need to really think about that. Think about being the change, whether it's this platform or just being out in the community to bring your skills and your whole being and what you have to bring to the table, bring that to the table to help and make a change with other people. So that's good. In the school systems, got me stirred up.
Yeah.
In the school systems, in the community, in the churches, in all of the areas that you know that you can bring that change.
Yeah, like economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war.
All of it. And that's what you talk about on your show.
Yeah. Marianne Williamson, she was a presidential candidate, but she's got this piece about our greatest fear is not that we are intelligent. I forgot what it is, but you've seen it. But the point is that everyone has something that they can offer.
Right. Absolutely.
And her poem, I think, captured that quite effectively.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to definitely look that up because there's so many things that speak to so many people, and I really think that it can get people stirred up with what's already in them to bring that to the table. Because we're not just supposed to be here to just be here, to just exist.
Yes.
We're supposed to share what we have to offer and what's been put in us. And that's what you've done.
Got a little piece I can share with you, but I don't want to go over though when you said that.
Well, we have a little time, so tell me.
I am not on this earth by chance. I am here for a purpose, and that purpose is to grow into a mountain, not shrink to a grain of sand. Henceforth, I will apply all my efforts to become the highest mountain of all. And I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy.
Wow, Theautry, that's awesome. You memorized that. That's awesome.
From I need to give credit. That's Og Mandino's The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's a book by Og Mandino, and that's the scroll marked 4, I believe, 3 or 4.
Okay, well that's a good motto, a good saying to live by. Yeah.
So we all have a purpose, and you got to
Absolutely.
grow.
We were talking about the content of your program. We also need to talk about the look of your program. I noticed the props that you have. Usually you have like this old looking radio
Right.
and some books. Right. What's behind that?
Well, again, the radio, my background is in radio and television, degree in mass communication. So back in the day, you know, the radio was the precursor to the television and, you know, computer and all that stuff. So that was your means of communication, you know. They used to have the fireside chat, whatever you are, even before I was born. But the radio was how, you know, was as big as, you know, having a computer on every desk. So I want to kind of just give a nod to the whole radio component. And then with the books, you know, and this is even before now you watch people doing Zoom meetings. Everybody wants to see, well, what kind of books they have on their shelf.
That's
well,
true.
I want you kind of see.
Too.
Yeah. You almost can't, you almost have to, you know, what are you reading? Because that tells you a little bit about the person, you know. So I kind of mix it up a little bit. So you may see something on there about religion. You don't see definitely something about racism, white supremacy. You may see something about Miles Davis. I like jazz, you know. May see something about gardening. I like to garden. Find something about real estate. As I said, I'm a real estate broker. So you'll find a variety of stuff about finance and anything on the books on the desk.
Yes. And also on your show, you have a box of chocolates.
Life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get when you tune into the chocolate box.
Right.
And as they say here, sometimes you never know if you're going to get a program.
Right, exactly. But speaking of the program,
Right.
give us the air dates for your program.
The Chocolate Box Presents airs every Tuesday twice. It airs at 12 noon and again at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at www.tvaccess21.com.
Right, well, that's the live stream.
That's the live stream.
Exactly, and they can look at it on video on demand.
And they don't even have to have cable.
Right, that's exactly right. Just as long as you connect to the internet.
Yeah,
right?
free.
Absolutely. And we are so glad that we had you on here.
Well, thank you for the invite.
You have your show, we have this show, and glad to present you. And as you always present your guests with an option for chocolate,
Absolutely.
I have something for you.
Get out of here.
Yes, some nice chocolate
mints
to go out on.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we going to eat these now? Or
We can eat them now because I am very hungry right now.
Let you have taste
I'll take one before I close out the show.
Okay.
And I want to thank everyone for joining us right here on CMPAC Spotlight.
You all get some chocolate too.
We ask that you continue to watch TV Access 21 so that you can tune in to shows like The Chocolate Box and all the others that we have on our lineup. And join us the next time for CMPAC Spotlight. Thank you.